What's really pleasurable for a writer is being read. And I know that what I write into Wikipedia it's writing for the world. It's not for a select group of paying customers. It's freely available everywhere to people on mobile phones. It'll be translated into other languages. It'll reach the widest possible audience.
Well, my kids are now used to it, and they all use it for homework, so they're used to it. And they find an entry and say, "Dad, you ought to edit that." But I mostly edit about local history, archaeology, and the like in Somerset and Bristol.
It started off because I started reading articles. I was particularly interested in music, blues music, rhythm and blues, and I was reading articles deciding, well, there's a lot more information that could be put in. So I started editing that sort of articles, and then I got more sucked in, as you do, and started writing articles about local towns, villages, and then wider, and over the last 4 years my sort of interests have spread.
I spend a lot of my spare time editing. I spend all the time I used to spend on computer games, so maybe a day a week, and just occasionally checking that pages aren't being vandalized or contributing to discussions.
Anybody can. You can do it anonymously. You don't have to have a username. And it just records what's called the IP address of your computer. But you can get in there and make minor changes. Some people just do spelling errors, and I make loads of spelling errors. So I'm very grateful to people that come along and change them.
I do think it is important that it is kept as a voluntary community project, if you like, and I think it would change things dramatically if people were paid to work there. You'd have all sorts of commercial interests coming in, and it's really important that it is kept free of commercial interests like that.
I learn a lot by doing it. I moved to Somerset in 2004 and discovered Wikipedia soon afterwards. Half the villages in Somerset didn't have an article. So I've got a range of history and reference books that I then use as sources, not copying directly, but as sources for the Wikipedia articles.
Well, one of the things I've just got involved in the last few days is some of the articles on music have sound files put into those pages, and there's a real question over the copyright over those files, even though they're only half-minute long samples. There's issues over how those files can be used, and some of the files that have been included. There's a big article on rock music, for example. There's lots of little bits of files in there, and there's now being sort of said, well, those sound bites can't be used in that article because of copyright. So that's an interesting discussion that we're having at the moment.
Sometimes it's difficult to decide what is vandalism, because it might be somebody's opinion, so you ask them to provide a source. But one particular one was our local MP, whose article included some information about the expenses he claimed from Parliament. This is some years ago. And somebody with a username that was very similar to the MP's name made changes, removing the comments that weren't particularly complimentary. I got involved in actually pointing out issues about conflict of interest, and that username no longer edits. The information's back on that page.